Marcus Tate, a black man in a crisp suit, stands frozen beside his flipped silver sedan, hands high as two white cops scream, guns aimed, their flashlights searing his eyes in the Texas desert night. Blood drips from his temple, where a baton split his skin, yet he cuts through their yells. "You're digging your own graves." Officer Victor Hensley spits a vile slur, cocking his pistol, while the other wavers. Marcus smirks. "You have no idea who I am," as headlights flare afar, hinting at salvation or doom. 12 hours ago, he was just driving home. But this night will reshape his future forever. What ignited this chaos? Before we dive in, let us know where you're watching from, and if you stand for justice, hit like and subscribe for more gripping tales. 12 hours before the chaos in the Texas desert turned Marcus Tate's world upside down. He's behind the wheel of his silver sedan, slicing through the sun-baked outskirts of El Paso like a man who's earned a moment of peace. The skies a bruised purple now, the sun having dipped below the horizon maybe 20 minutes ago, leaving a faint orange smear across the jagged silhouettes of distant mesas 40 miles west of the city limits. Highway 80 stretches out ahead, a lonely ribbon of asphalt flanked by scraggly creosote bushes and prickly pear cacti that claw at the dusty earth. The kind of landscape that feels forgotten by everything but the vultures circling high above. On thermal still warm from a day that hit 97 degrees Fahrenheit at its peak, Marcus adjusts the air conditioning, the vents humming as they blast cool relief against his skin. He's got the stereo dialed to a jazz station out of Houston, some old Coltrane number crackling through the speakers, the saxophones wail, a soothing counterpoint to the low growl of the sedan's engine as he keeps it steady at 55 miles per hour. Right on the legal limit, because Marcus Tate doesn't take chances, not with the road, and not with the world that's always waiting for him to slip up. He's 6'2", broad across the shoulders, with a jawline carved from years of grit and a voice that can silence a room. Tonight, though, he's just a man craving the quiet of home after months of 16-hour days dismantling a cartel, smuggling ring that stretched from Juarez to the Gulf Coast, a case that's left him with more gray hairs than he'd care to count at 43. He's picturing it already. A weekend off, first one in 6 months, maybe firing up the grill on his back porch in Houston, searing a thick ribeye to medium rare, cracking open a cold Shiner Bock while the crickets sing and the stars pop out. Over the pines, he's earned it, damn it. After 20 years in the FBI, climbing from a beat cop in Atlanta to the director of the Houston branch, a black man who's stared down mob bosses and senators alike and come out on top every time. His hands rest at 10 and 2 on the wheel, steady as stone. His turn signals clicking with military precision every time he switched lanes on this 3-hour drive from a field office meeting in El Paso. He knows the drill, knows how to keep everything clean and by the book, because he's learned since he was 16 and got his first license that out here. A mile doesn't pass without someone assuming he's trouble just for breathing while black. The sedan's odometer ticks, past 212,000 miles, a testament to how many roads like this he's traveled, how many nights he's spent chasing justice instead of sleep. Tonight, though, it's just him and the open highway, the nearest gas station a good 20 miles back near Horizon City. The last vehicle he saw, a rusted Ford pickup hauling hay bales that rumbled past 15 minutes ago, its taillights long swallowed by the dusk. He's alone out here, or so he thinks, until a sudden flash of red and blue light stabs through his rearview mirror, sharp and silent, no siren to announce it. Just that pulsing glow that hits him like a punch to the gut, because he knows this isn't about a busted headlight or a missed speed limit sign. Not when he's been clocking 55 on the nose since he hit this stretch an hour ago. He squints against the glare, his hazel eyes narrowing as he checks the dashboard one last time. Speedometer steady, gas tank 3/4 full, nothing out of place, and mutters under his breath, "Not again," the words slipping out like a reflex, a bitter echo of the 5 other stops he's endured in the last year alone, all of them starting with that same look in the mirror, that same sinking feeling that no badge, no title, no 20 years of service can shield him from what's coming. He eases the sedan onto the gravel shoulder, tires crunching over brittle stones and kicking up a faint cloud of dust that swirls in the headlight's beam. He cuts the engine, the jazz fading to static as the silence of the desert presses in. Thick and heavy, the temperature still hovering around 90 degrees even with the sun gone. Marcus adjusts his tie, a crisp navy number against his white dress shirt, a habit drilled into him from decades of facing down scrutiny with dignity. His fingers brush the FBI badge tucked in his jacket pocket, a cold reassurance he's carried since his first day on the job, because out here dignity and proof are the only armor he's got against the assumptions that follow him like a shadow. The rear view catches a figure stepping out of the cruiser behind him, a tall silhouette framed against the last gasp of sunset, and Marcus braces himself as Officer Victor Hensley comes into view, his badge glinting like a taunt under the wide brim of a sweat-stained Stetson. Hensley's lean and wiry, maybe 40, with a sunburned neck that peeks out above his navy uniform collar, his lips curling into a sneer that doesn't even try to hide the contempt brewing behind his pale blue eyes, a swagger in his step that screams small-town tyrant, the kind of man who's never left El Paso County and figures that makes him God out here where the law bends to his whims. He doesn't bother with a polite tap on the window or a flashlight sweep like protocol demands. He just plants his boots 2 feet from Marcus's door and barks, "License and registration, boy," his voice a gravelly drawl that lands like a slap, dripping with venom, not even glancing inside to see who he's talking to. Like Marcus is already guilty of something just for daring to drive this road at dusk. Marcus keeps his tone even, years of training locking the anger behind a wall of calm. "Can you tell me why you pulled me over, officer?" It's a fair question, one he's asked too many times before, one the law says he's entitled to hear answered. But Hensley doesn't bite, just leans closer, his shadow spilling across the open window, his breath sour with chewing tobacco as he snaps, "You people always think you're above the law, don't you?" Before slamming his fist down on the sedan's hood, the metal buckling with a sharp, resounding clang that echoes across the empty highway like a gunshot, a dent the size of a grapefruit blooming under his knuckles, jagged and ugly, a mark that's as much about claiming Marcus as it is about ruining his car. Marcus's jaw clenches tight, his fingers curling around the steering wheel until his knuckles pale. But he doesn't flinch, not yet, because he's seen this script play out before, written in the blood and bruises of men like him long before he was born. And he knows Hensley's not here for traffic violations, not with that word people hanging in the air like a lit fuse, not with that sneer promising something far uglier than a fine. The sky darkens another shade, the first stars piercing the velvet black above, and Marcus feels it in his bones. This isn't just another stop to shrug off. This is the spark that's about to set his whole damn world on fire. Marcus Tate sits rigid in his silver sedan, the desert night pressing in through the open window, as Officer Victor Hensley looms outside, his fist still hovering over the fresh dent in the hood, a jagged scar in the metal that glints under the faint starlight, a silent testament to the rage that's already boiling over in this nowhere stretch of Highway 80, 40 miles west of El Paso. The air's thick with the lingering heat of 90 degrees Fahrenheit, a dry, suffocating weight that sticks to Marcus's skin, his crisp white shirt dampening at the collar as he forces his breath to stay even. His hands grip the steering wheel, knuckles taut, but his hazel eyes lock onto Hensley's sneer with a calm that's taken 20 years in the FBI to forge, a calm that's held him steady through interrogations with killers and standoffs with kingpins, though none of those ever felt as personal as this. Hensley's demand for license and registration still hangs unanswered, that ugly boy and you people echoing in Marcus's skull like a drum beat he's heard too many times. 5 stops in the last 12 months, countless more since. He was a teenager in Atlanta, all of them starting with that same look, that same tone, that same assumption that he's less than the badge he carries. He knows the law, knows his rights, knows this stop's got no legs to stand on, not with his speed dead at 55, not with his signals perfect, but he also knows Hensley doesn't care about the law, not out here where the nearest witness is a coyote howling 10 miles off in the scrub. Marcus reaches slowly for his wallet, deliberate, keeping his hands visible because he's learned the hard way that one twitch can turn a traffic stop into a funeral. He pulls out his driver's license, the Texas seal stark against the black, leather, and slides it toward the window. But he doesn't stop there. his voice cutting through the tense silence, steady as steel. "I'm a federal officer, FBI, check the badge in my glove box." It's not a plea, not a boast, just fact, cold and clear. The kind of fact that's ended these stops before with stammered apologies and quick retreats. But Hensley doesn't flinch, doesn't even glance at the license as he snatches it from Marcus's fingers and flicks it into the dirt outside like it's trash, the plastic card skittering across the gravel shoulder with a faint scrape that's drowned by his barking laugh. "FBI? Sure, and I'm the governor. Nice try, boy." The word lands again, sharp as a blade, and Marcus feels it slice into him, but he keeps his face a mask, years of discipline holding the anger at bay. Hensley leans in closer, his sunburned face, inches from the window, tobacco-stained breath fouling the air, and yanks the driver's door open with a creak of metal, barking, "Out, now!" His pale blue eyes glinting with something feral, something that says, this isn't about papers. Anymore, it's about power, about putting Marcus in his place. Marcus doesn't argue, not yet. He steps out slow and deliberate, hands raised just enough to show he's no threat, his 6'2" frame unfolding from the sedan with a quiet dignity that only seems to stoke Hensley's fire. His dress, shoes crunch on the gravel, the desert wind tugging at his navy tie, and he stands there towering over Hensley's wiry build. But the cop doesn't back off, just steps up, chest puffed, and shoves Marcus hard against the car, the sedan rocking. Slightly as Marcus's back slams into the doorframe, Hensley snarling low, "You don't belong on my road, never did." The words drip with venom, a racist hiss that's not even subtle anymore, and Marcus feels the jolt of pain shoot up his spine, but he doesn't blink, doesn't give Hensley the reaction he's fishing for. He's faced worse, survived worse. And he's not about to break for this small-time bully with a badge. Before he can respond, headlights flare in the distance. A second cruiser rolling up fast, kicking up dust that stings Marcus's eyes as it screeches to a stop 10 feet away. Officer Pete Rollins climbs out, a stocky man in his 30s with a buzz cut and a smirk that mirrors Hensley's. His uniform stretched tight across a barrel chest, a nightstick swinging lazily at his hip as he saunters over, chuckling, "What's this one done, Vic?" Hensley doesn't miss a beat, spinning a lie as easy as breathing. Resisting thinks he's some big shot fed, and Rollins nods like it's a punchline he's heard before, stepping closer to block Marcus's path back to the driver's seat. Marcus opens his mouth to protest. "I've complied with every..." But Hensley cuts him off, grabbing his wrist and twisting it behind his back, slamming a pair of cuffs on so tight the steel bites into his skin, drawing a thin trickle of blood that stains his white cuff red. Rollins laughs, a harsh bark, as Hensley tightens the grip, leaning in close to whisper, "This is just the start. You're gonna wish you'd stayed off my turf." The cuffs click shut, the sound sharp against the desert quiet, and Marcus feels the weight of it. Not just the metal, but the hate, the system that lets men like Hensley wield it unchecked. His jaw tightens, his mind racing, because he knows this isn't the end. It's the beginning of a fight he didn't ask for but won't back down from, not now, not ever. Hey folks, what do you think? Should Marcus have stayed silent, or was he right to call out his FBI rank? Comment number 1 if you think he did the right thing standing up to Hensley's racism. Hit that like button if you're rooting for justice here, and subscribe so you don't miss what's next, because trust me, this is about to get wilder. So what happens when Marcus's backup hears about this? Will it save him or light an even bigger fuse? Marcus Tate sits hunched in the back of Officer Victor Hensley's cruiser, the desert night a blur of shadows beyond the grimy windows as the cuffs bite deeper into his wrists. The steel edges slick with blood that's now crusted over his white shirt cuffs, staining them a dull crimson. He's 40 miles west of El Paso on Highway 80, the air outside still a sticky 90 degrees Fahrenheit, but inside it's claustrophobic, the vinyl seat sticking to his suit jacket as the faint hum of the AC battles, the heat radiating off Hensley in the driver's seat. Officer Pete Rollins rides shotgun, his buzz-cut head tilted back, chuckling at some crude joke Hensley mutters about teaching this one a lesson, while Marcus keeps his hazel eyes fixed on the rearview mirror, catching every twitch of Hensley's sneer. He's 6'2", broad-shouldered, and trained to stay calm under worse pressure than this, But the throbbing in his jaw from Hensley's baton shove against the sedan and the sting of racist slurs. Boy, you people are testing that calm, pushing it to a razor's edge he hasn't felt since his early days as a beat cop in Atlanta 20 years ago. His mind races, cataloging every move. Hensley's lie about resisting, Rollins's complicity, the unlawful stop with no cause. But he's not just processing, he's planning. Because Marcus Tate didn't climb to Houston FBI director by letting small-town bigots like these bury him. His right hand, tucked beneath his thigh, brushes the concealed earpiece he's kept since his undercover days. A tiny black bud, barely the size of a dime, wired into his phone's secure line. And he shifts his weight, slow and subtle, until his fingers nudge it into place behind his ear. The cruiser's rumble masking the faint click as it activates. Hensley's too busy spitting tobacco into a cup to notice, and Rollins is scrolling his phone oblivious. Marcus presses his thumb against the earpiece, whispering so low it's barely a breath. Deputy Director Hayes, it's Tate, Highway 80, El Paso outskirts, detained illegally by 2 officers. Hensley and Rollins, I need backup now. The line crackles, then Hayes' voice cuts through, sharp and urgent. Coordinates locked. Chopper's 20 minutes out, hang tight. And Marcus exhales, a flicker of relief cutting through the adrenaline, because 20 minutes is nothing compared to the hell he's already endured tonight. The cruiser lurches as Hensley takes a sharp turn onto a dirt road, gravel pinging against the undercarriage, and Marcus braces himself. 10 minutes pass, then 15, and just as Hensley starts bragging about showing this Fed who's boss, a low thrum builds in the distance, growing into the unmistakable roar of rotor blades slicing the night sky. Headlights flare through the windshield as an FBI helicopter swoops low, its spotlight pinning the cruiser in a blinding white circle. Hensley slams the brakes, tires skidding, cursing under his breath. What the hell? While Rollins fumbles, his phone dropping it into the footwell. The chopper hovers 50 feet above, dust swirling in a choking cloud, and a voice booms over the loudspeaker. FBI, release the detainee immediately. Officers Hensley and Rollins, you're under federal. Observation. Marcus feels the shift. Hensley's bravado cracks, his sunburned face paling as he scrambles to uncuff Marcus, his hands shaking, muttering, "Misunderstanding, sir. Just a mix-up." While Rollins stammers, "We didn't know, honest." The cuffs snap off, the steel clattering to the floorboard, and Marcus steps out, brushing gravel from his suit, his jaw tight, but his eyes burning with a quiet triumph. He's free, the chopper's blades whipping the air as it lands 100 yards off, agents in black vests spilling out with rifles ready, and for a moment he thinks he's won, that Hensley's done, that this nightmare's over. He climbs back into his sedan, the dented hood a bitter reminder, and drives off toward Houston, the chopper shadowing him for protection. His shoulders ease, the tension bleeding out as he hits 70 miles per hour, the desert shrinking in his rear view, but he doesn't see what's brewing behind him. Back at the cruiser, Hensley's not licking wounds. He's on the radio, voice low and venomous. "Get this to the precinct now. Edit the dash cam. Make it look like he swung first." And within an hour, as Marcus crosses the county line, 150 miles from El Paso, a grainy video hits the internet, uploaded from an anonymous account tied to the local sheriff's office. 30 seconds of chopped footage showing Marcus stepping out of his car, edited to look like he's lunging at Hensley, the audio dubbed with a fake shout, "I'll kill you, pig," while Hensley's shove and the cuffs vanish from the frame. The caption reads, "FBI thug harasses honest cop, who's the real criminal?" And by midnight, it's viral. 10,000 views, then 50, then 100, flooding El Paso's online forums and beyond. The comments a cesspool of racist bile. Typical. Give him a badge and they think they own us. Send him back where he came from. Cops should have finished the job. Marcus pulls into a gas station 50 miles from home, the neon sign buzzing above a pump that's seen better days, and checks his phone. His inbox is flooded. His deputy director's texting, "You see this yet?" And his stomach drops as he plays the clip, the distorted version of himself staring back. A lie so blatant it's almost laughable, except it's not. Because El Paso's rumor mill is already churning, the town's old guard lapping it up, painting him as the villain, the black Fed who dared step out of line. His hands tremble, not with fear but with fury, as he realizes Hensley's not just a thug, he's a player. And this smear's hitting harder than any baton, turning his escape into a trap he can't outrun. The gas pump clicks off, the tank full at 12 gallons, but Marcus doesn't move. He's staring at the screen, the video looping, and knows this false victory's about to cost him everything he's built, because out here, truth doesn't matter when hate's got a louder voice. Marcus Tate grips the steering wheel of his silver sedan, the desert night swallowing the gas station's flickering neon glow in his rearview mirror as he pulls back onto Highway 80, the engine humming steady at 70 miles per hour. He's 50 miles from Houston now. The dented hood from Hensley's fist, a jagged shadow under the dashboard lights. His white shirt still stained with blood from the cuffs that bit into his wrists an hour ago. A dull ache pulsing in his jaw where the baton landed back on that desolate stretch 40 miles west of El Paso. The air outside hovers at 85 degrees Fahrenheit, cooler than the day's peak but still heavy with the dry bite of a Texas summer, and inside, the AC blasts against his face, drying the sweat that's beaded on his forehead since he saw that doctored video, 30 seconds, of lies looping on his phone, the fake shout of "I'll kill you, pig," dubbed over grainy dashcam footage, turning his lawful defiance into a racist caricature that's already racked up 100,000 views. The comments a venomous flood of FBI thug, and worse, words he's heard before, but never with his own face attached. His 6'2" frame slumps slightly, exhaustion tugging at him after months of cartel busts, and now this. His hazel eyes flick to the road, then the mirrors, a habit from 20 years in the FBI, because even with the chopper escort gone, and Hensley's cruiser left in the dust, he knows this isn't over. Not when a man like that can twist the truth into a noose with a radio call and a few keystrokes. He's 200 miles from where it started. The stars a faint scatter above the endless black of the plains when he spots them. 3 sets of taillights creeping up behind, too close, too synchronized, their glow bouncing off the asphalt, like predators pacing a kill. Marcus adjusts his grip, easing off the gas to 60, testing them. The lights don't waver, they close in, and his gut twists, that old instinct flaring, the one that's kept him alive through ambushes and stakeouts, gone sideways. The lead vehicle surges forward, a jacked-up pickup with mud-caked tires and a Confederate flag flapping from its bed, its headlights blinding him as it swerves to his left. 2 more flank him, one on the right, one behind, boxing him in as the road narrows over a rickety bridge spanning a dry riverbed 30 feet below, its wooden planks rattling under the sedan's weight. Marcus scans for an out, but there's none. The pickups tighten their grip, engines roaring, and he catches a glimpse of shadowed faces through tinted windows. White men with hard eyes and harder grins, one clutching a baseball bat that glints in the glare. He floors it, pushing 80, the sedan lurching as he tries to break free, but the lead truck cuts him off, forcing him to brake hard. Then a brick rockets through his windshield, glass exploding inward like shrapnel, a jagged shard slicing his cheek as it embeds in the passenger seat, blood welling hot and fast down his neck, staining his tie crimson. The impact jars him, the wheel jerking in his hands, and a voice bellows from the truck, raw and hateful. "Get out, you black bastard." The words hit harder than the brick, a slap of pure malice that echoes Hensley's sneer from hours. "Go." Marcus swerves, tires screaming, the sedan fishtailing as he fights to keep it on the bridge. The drop looms right, a sheer plunge into darkness, and he yanks the wheel left, scraping the guardrail with a shriek of metal on metal. Sparks, flying as he narrowly avoids tumbling over the edge. His heart slams against his ribs, adrenaline flooding every nerve. He's trained for this, survived worse, but this isn't a cartel hit. This is personal. A mob spurred by that video, by Hensley's poison seeping into the cracks of a town. Already primed to hate him, the trucks press closer, one ramming his rear bumper. The jolt snapping his head back, he floors it again, pushing 90, the engine whining as he breaks through the gauntlet, the bridge's end rushing up in a blur of headlights and dust. He's clear, tires hitting solid asphalt, the pickups lagging as he hits 100, the speedometer trembling, but then a crackle cuts through the chaos, a CB radio spitting static from the lead truck, and Hensley's voice rasps out, loud and clear, "Finish him for me." A command that chills Marcus to the bone because this isn't random. This is Hensley's next move. A hit squad unleashed to bury him where no chopper can swoop in to save him. The trucks peel off, their taillights fading as Marcus races toward Houston, blood dripping onto his lap, glass crunching under his shoes. He's alive, barely, his hands shaking on the wheel, but his mind's already turning, because he knows Hensley's not done, knows that video's just the spark and this mob's the fire, and it's only going to burn hotter from here. He wipes his cheek, the cut stinging, and mutters, "You're gonna regret this." A vow to himself to the night, because Marcus Tate doesn't run, he fights, and this fight's just getting started. All right, folks, what do you think? Does Marcus deserve to take Hensley down after this? Comment number 1 if you're rooting for him to crush this racist mob, hit that like button if you're fired up for justice, and subscribe so you don't miss the next twist, because it's about to get insane. So can Marcus outsmart Hensley's next play, or is this mob just the beginning of his nightmare? Marcus Tate barrels down Highway 80, the silver sedan's engine roaring at 90 miles per hour, as the shattered windshield lets in gusts of desert air, still hovering at 85 degrees Fahrenheit despite the late hour. He's 40, miles from Houston now, blood crusting on his cheek from the brick that nearly took his head off on that rickety bridge 10 minutes ago, the jagged glass embedded in the passenger seat glinting under the dashboard lights like a grim trophy of the mob's attack. His navy tie hangs loose, shredded at the end where it caught on the guardrail during his escape, and his white shirt's a mess of red stains, blood from his wrists, his cheek, his pride. But his hazel eyes stay sharp, scanning the road through the spider-webbed windshield. His 6'2" frame tense as he grips the wheel with hands that still tremble from the adrenaline of outrunning those Confederate flag-waving pickups, orchestrated by Hensley's venomous "Finish him" crackling over the CB radio. The viral video's lies, FBI thug harasses honest cop, still burn in his mind 100,000 views and counting, turning him into a target for every racist with a grudge within 100 miles of El Paso, and that mob was proof. Hensley's not just a rogue cop. He's a puppet master pulling strings Marcus can't yet see. He's 240 miles from where this nightmare kicked off with that unlawful stop. The stars overhead blurred by the wind whipping through the broken glass, when he spots the faint glow of El Paso's city limits. Just 10 miles ahead. A chance to stop, breathe, get help. So he eases off the gas, dropping to 60, and veers toward a precinct he knows from joint ops with local PD, a squat brick building off the interstate that's handled cartel busts alongside his Houston team over the past 3 years. The sedan limps into the parking lot, tires crunching over loose gravel, the dented hood rattling as he kills the engine. He's a mess, bloodied and bruised, but he's the damned FBI director, and he's not about to let Hensley's goons chase him into hiding like some fugitive from that doctored footage. He steps out, wincing as his dress shoes hit the pavement, the night air stinging the fresh cut on his cheek, and adjusts his jacket, torn at the shoulder but still carrying the weight of his badge in the inner pocket, a cold steel lifeline he's clung to for 20 years. The precinct's neon sign buzzes overhead, casting a sickly green glow across the lot, and Marcus strides toward the glass doors, his jaw set, his mind racing with a plan. Report the stop, the mob, the video, get federal eyes on Hensley before this spirals further. But as he pushes inside, the desk sergeant, a wiry white man with a grey mustache, barely looks up from his coffee, muttering, "State your business," in a drawl that's more boredom than badge. Marcus pulls out his FBI ID, the gold shield glinting under the fluorescent lights, and slams it on the counter, voice steady despite the ache in his bones. "Marcus Tate, Houston FBI Director. I was illegally detained by one of your officers, Victor Hensley, then attacked by a mob he sicked on me. I need to file a report and get your watch commander now." The sergeant glances at the badge, then at Marcus, his bloody shirt, his torn suit, and nods slow and deliberate. "All right, Fed, sit tight," gesturing to an interview room down the hall with a flick of his pen. Marcus follows, stepping into a cramped box of peeling paint and a metal table bolted to the floor, the door clicking shut behind him. He sinks into a chair, the cold steel biting through his jacket, and for a moment, he lets himself hope, lets himself believe these. Cops will see the badge, hear the truth, and back him up like the law demands. 2 officers enter 10 minutes later, both white, both in crisp Navy uniforms. Officer Lyle Grayson, tall and lean with a scar across his knuckles, and Officer Tom Burke, shorter, stockier, with a buzz cut and a smirk that doesn't reach his eyes. They nod at Marcus, Grayson saying, "Heard you had a rough night, Mr. Tate. We'll look into it," while Burke jots notes on a clipboard, his pen scratching loud in the silence. Marcus lays it out. Hensley's stop, the cuffs, the chopper rescue, the video, the bridge ambush. His voice steady, facts crisp, expecting action. But Grayson's eyes narrow, and Burke's smirk widens. And before Marcus can finish, the Dr. locks with a heavy thunk, Grayson spinning the key with a chuckle. "Hensley's our brother, you're nothing here." Marcus's stomach drops, his hands flexing against the table as Burke steps closer, spitting in his face, the wet glob hitting his cheek with a sting. "FBI don't mean shit to us. You think you can roll in and cry wolf?" The saliva drips, mixing with the blood already there, and Marcus wipes it off, slow and deliberate, his mind screaming betrayal. These aren't cops, they're Hensley's pack, and he's walked right into their den. Grayson pulls out his phone, dialing with a grin. "Vic, you'll love this. He's here." And within an hour, the door swings open again. Hensley strutting in, his sunburned neck redder than ever, his nightstick twirling like a toy in his wiry hands. He doesn't hesitate, doesn't speak, just swings the baton hard, cracking it across Marcus's jaw with a sickening crunch that snaps his head back, pain exploding white hot through his skull as he slumps against the chair, blood pooling in his mouth, metallic and sharp. Hensley leans in, breath hot and sour, snarling, "You thought you'd snitch? Thought your fancy badge would save you?" And swings again, the stick slamming into Marcus's ribs, a dull thud that steals his breath. He gasps, vision blurring. But his training kicks in, keeping him conscious, keeping him alive, because he knows this beating's just Hensley's warm-up, a taste of the hell he's got planned. The room spins, the fluorescent buzz deafening, and Marcus clenches his fists, blood dripping onto the table. He's down, not out, and Hensley's about to learn that the hard way. Marcus Tate slumps against the cold metal chair in the El Paso precinct's interview room, the taste of blood thick in his mouth as it drips from his split lip, pooling on the scratched table in front of him. His jaw throbs where Officer Victor, Hensley's baton cracked it minutes ago, a white-hot pain that pulses with every shallow breath, and his ribs ache from the second blow, a dull bruise blooming beneath his torn white shirt, now a patchwork of crimson stains from his wrists, his cheek and now his mouth. The fluorescent lights buzz overhead, casting harsh shadows across the peeling beige walls. The air stale and heavy at 80 degrees Fahrenheit despite the late hour. 40 miles from Houston, he's trapped in this concrete box, the precinct's neon sign still flickering outside, a mocking beacon of the safety he thought he'd find. Hensley stands over him, wiry frame coiled with menace, his sunburned neck flushed red as he twirls the nightstick, smirking. "You thought you'd snitch, huh? Thought you'd run to your Fed buddies?" While Officers Lyle Grayson and Tom Burke lean against the locked door, Grayson's scarred knuckles flexing, Burke's smirk widening as he wipes spit from his chin, the same spit he hocked in Marcus's face before Hensley strutted in, a betrayal that stings worse than the beating. Marcus's 6'2" frame is hunched, his navy tie dangling in tatters, but his hazel eyes burn through the haze of pain, tracking every move. 20 years in the FBI have taught him to stay sharp when the odds are stacked, and right now, they're a tower ready to topple. His right wrist, still raw from the cuffs hours ago on Highway 80, brushes the chair's armrest, and he feels it, a loose pin in the cuff dangling from his left hand, a sliver of steel bent just enough to work with. He'd noticed it when Hensley slammed him down, a sloppy mistake from a sloppy cop, and now it's his lifeline. Hensley paces, ranting about teaching you your place, his boots scuffing the linoleum while Grayson chuckles and Burke scrolls his phone, distracted. Marcus shifts slow, deliberate, sliding the pin free with his thumb, his fingers steady, despite the blood slicking them, and slips it into the cuff's lock, feeling the mechanism give with a faint click. He masks with a cough, the sound harsh and wet as blood spatters his chin. Hensley doesn't notice, too busy swinging the baton in mock arcs. But Marcus's mind races. 3 against 1, no gun, no backup, the door's locked, but he's got surprise and that's enough. He waits, biding his time, until Hensley turns to laugh with Grayson. Then Marcus moves fast as a coiled spring, lunging up and slamming his elbow into Hensley's throat, a guttural choke cutting off the cop's sneer as the baton clatters to the floor. Burke lunges, but Marcus grabs the chair and swings it hard, the metal frame cracking against Burke's skull with a sickening thud, dropping him limp to the ground. Grayson's on him next, fists flying, but Marcus ducks. Years of training kicking in and drives his knee into Grayson's gut, doubling him over. He snatches the keys from Grayson's belt, bolts for the door, and jams the key in, twisting. It opens as Hensley wheezes, clawing for his radio. "Stop him, damn it!" Marcus bursts into the hall, the precinct a blur of beige and buzzing lights, his dress shoes slipping on the tile as he sprints past the desk sergeant, who's too slow to react, coffee spilling as he yells, "Hey!" He hits the parking lot, the night air hitting his lungs like a furnace, and spots a patrol car idling 20 feet away, keys still in it from a rookie's smoke break. He dives in, slams the door and floors it, the cruiser peeling out with a screech of tires, gravel spraying as he tears onto the interstate, heart hammering, blood dripping onto the seat. He's free, the precinct shrinking in the rear view, and he grabs the radio, switching to a secure FBI channel, voice hoarse but firm. "Hayes, it's Tate. Precinct's dirty. Hensley's crew beat me. I'm out, heading east. Send a team." Hayes crackles back. "Copy, 60 miles out. Stay low." And Marcus exhales, thinking he's clear, the cruiser hitting 80 as he races toward Houston, 50 miles away. But then the scanner flares to life, a statewide alert blaring. "All units be advised. FBI Director Marcus Tate wanted for assaulting officers. Armed and dangerous, last seen fleeing El Paso precinct in stolen vehicle," followed by a flood of chatter. "Suspect attacked 3 cops, critical condition." Marcus's gut twists. He didn't kill anyone, Burke's out cold, not dead. But the lie's already spreading and he catches a glimpse of his reflection in the side mirror, bloodied and wild, a perfect match for the fugitive they've painted him as. Sirens wail in the distance, closing fast, and Hensley's voice cuts through the scanner, sharp and smug. "He's a dead man now. Find him. Finish him." A taunt that chills Marcus's blood, because this isn't just a beating anymore. It's a frame-up, a death sentence broadcast to every badge in Texas, turning his escape into a noose he can't slip. He ditches the radio, the cruiser's speedometer climbing to 95, the desert blurring past. He's alive, but he's hunted, and Hensley's turned the whole damn state into his executioner. All right, folks, what do you think? Can Marcus outrun this frame-up, or is Hensley too slick? Comment number 1 if you believe Marcus can still turn this around. Hit that like button if you're rooting for him to beat these corrupt cops. And subscribe so you don't miss the next move, because it's about to get brutal. So how does Marcus dodge a manhunt when even his own side might turn on him? Marcus Tate races east in the stolen El Paso patrol car, the speedometer pegged at 95 miles per hour as the Texas night blurs past, a star-strewn void 40 miles from Houston. The cruiser's headlights cut through the darkness, illuminating the cracked asphalt of Interstate 10, the air rushing in at 80 degrees Fahrenheit through the open window, drying the blood caked on his cheek from the brick attack and the fresh split on his lip from Hensley's baton back at the precinct. 20 minutes ago. His white shirt's a ruin, torn, stained with crimson from his wrists, his jaw, his ribs. His navy tie a shredded rag flapping against the seat, and his 6'2" frame hunches over the wheel, every muscle screaming from the beating. The escape. The relentless chase that's turned him from FBI director into a fugitive in less than 12 hours. The statewide alert still crackles over the scanner. Marcus Tate wanted for assaulting officers armed and dangerous, a lie spun by Hensley's smug, "He's a dead man now," echoing in his ears, and sirens wail in the distance, faint but closing, a pack of hounds on a scent he can't shake. His hazel eyes dart to the fuel gauge. Half a tank, maybe 12 gallons left, enough to reach Houston if he pushes it. But his mind's not on the road. It's on Lena, his wife of 15 years, and their 12-year-old son, Jamal, waiting. At home in their quiet suburb off the Gulf Freeway, oblivious to the storm Hensley's unleashed with that viral video and now this manhunt. He ditched his phone after the precinct, knowing it's a beacon for every cop in Texas. But he's got a burner stashed in the glove box from an old op. 2 minutes out, he fishes it out, a cheap flip model with a cracked screen, and dials Lena's number. His voice hoarse as it rings. Pick up, because he needs to warn her, needs to keep them safe from the fallout he's dragging behind him like a shadow 300 miles long since that stop on Highway 80. She answers. On the fourth ring, her voice sleepy but sharp. Marcus, where are you? It's past midnight, and he cuts in, urgent. Lena, listen, pack a bag, take Jamal, get to my sister's in Austin now. Cops framed me, they're coming, don't ask, just go. There's a pause, a rustle of sheets, then her breath. Hitches, what? Framed? Marcus, what's... But the line cuts dead, a burst of static swallowing her words. He redials, nothing, just silence, and his gut twists because he's too late, because Hensley's not playing small anymore. 50 miles away in Houston, Lena Tate stands in their 2-story colonial, her bare feet cold on the hardwood floor of their bedroom, her brown eyes wide as she clutches the cordless phone, its dial tone humming like a warning. She's 39, a high school principal with a no-nonsense edge, her hair pulled back in a braid that's fraying from sleep, her nightgown swaying as she turns to the window, peering through the blinds at the quiet street lined with oaks and picket fences. Jamal's upstairs, probably sprawled across his bed with comics, oblivious. She's halfway to the stairs. Marcus's "They're coming" ringing in her ears when headlights flood the driveway. 3 SUVs screeching to a halt, their doors flying open as a SWAT team in black vests spills out, rifles raised, red lasers dancing across the front porch like fireflies on a warpath. She freezes, heart slamming, as the door explodes inward, wood splintering under a battering ram. 6 officers storm in, shouting, "Houston PD, hands up!" And she's shoved to the floor, her knees cracking against the oak, a gloved hand, pinning her down as she yells, "What's happening? This is my house!" Upstairs, Jamal screams, "Mom!" And she twists, seeing him dragged down in pajamas, his skinny arms flailing as an officer cuffs him, his comics scattering like confetti. She's helpless, her voice breaking. "He's 12. Let him go." But the lead cop, a square-jawed man named Sergeant Ed Voss, ignores her, barking orders as his team tears through the house, ripping cushions, smashing frames, overturning drawers. Voss kneels beside her, smirking. "Your husband's a drug runner, FBI's a front. Where's he hiding the stash?" And Lena spits back, "That's a lie, he's the director, you idiot." But Voss just laughs, cold and hollow, and pulls a plastic bag from his vest, a pound of cocaine pristine and planted, tossing it onto the coffee table with a thud. "Found it. Looks like you're in on it too." She stares, horror sinking in as cameras flash, evidence logged, upstairs. Jamal sobs, "Dad didn't do this." But the cuffs stay tight and Voss radios, "Suspect's family detained, narcotics secured, tell Hensley it's done." 50 miles out, Marcus floors the cruiser, hitting 100, the burner dead in his hand. He's too far, too late. And the scanner crackles again. A news report breaking through. Breaking, Houston FBI Director Marcus Tate's home raided. Wife and son arrested in drug bust, tied to his assault on El Paso officers. Followed by Hensley's voice on a live feed, fake tears thick. "He's a disgrace to the badge. My heart breaks for this city." Marcus slams the wheel, rage boiling over, blood dripping onto his lap as the broadcast cuts to a reporter outside his house. Lena's face blurred but unmistakable as she's hauled into a van, Jamal beside her. The gas station payphone looms. Ahead, a rusted relic 30 feet off the interstate, and he screeches to a stop, stumbling out, quarters jangling as he dials Hayes again, voice raw. "They hit my family, planted drugs. Hensley's behind it. I need you now." Hayes snaps back. "Team's en route, hold on." But Marcus knows holding on isn't enough. His escape's a hollow victory. His family's the price, and Hensley's turned his badge into a weapon sharper than any nightstick. Marcus Tate stands hunched over the payphone at a crumbling gas station 30 feet off Interstate 10, the receiver slick with sweat and blood as his hoarse voice rasps into it. "They hit my family, planted drugs, Hensley's behind it. I need you now." The night air's a stifling 80 degrees Fahrenheit, wrapping around him like a wet blanket. 40 miles from Houston. His silver sedan abandoned 300 miles back on Highway 80, replaced by the stolen cruiser idling beside him, its engine ticking as the tank dips below a quarter, maybe 6 gallons left after his 100-mile-per-hour dash from El Paso's corrupt precinct. His white shirt's a shredded mess, blood from his cheek, his jaw, his ribs staining it beyond recognition. His navy tie long gone, his 6'2" frame trembling with a fury he hasn't felt in 20 years of FBI service, not since he took down his first kingpin and swore no one would touch his own again. Deputy Director Hayes crackles back. Teams en route, safe house, 50 miles southwest, coordinates coming, hold on. But Marcus doesn't wait, slamming the phone down, quarters clattering as he lurches to the cruiser, his hazel eyes burning through the pain. Lena and Jamal in cuffs, that planted cocaine bag flashing on the news, Hensley's fake tears on the radio. It's a knife in his gut, and he's done running, done hiding from a small-time thug who's turned his life into a manhunt. He floors the cruiser, tires screeching as he peels southwest, the statewide alert. Marcus Tate wanted for assaulting officers, still blaring, but he's got a plan because Hensley's not the only one with moves. 50 miles later, he ditches the cruiser in a mesquite thicket off a dirt road, the safe house looming, a low-slung bunker hidden in the scrub, its steel door glinting under moonlight as Hayes and 6 agents in black vests greet him, rifles. Slung faces grim. Lena and Jamal are in holding, feds are locked out. Hensley's got local stonewalling, Hayes says, handing Marcus a burner tablet with precinct feeds hacked live. Marcus wipes blood from his lip, jaw throbbing, and growls, "Then we hit back hard," rallying his team with a voice that cuts through exhaustion. His 20 years of tactics flood in, and within an hour they've got warrants, recordings from his earpiece, and a sting set for Hensley's precinct 40 miles north in El Paso. The chopper lifts off at 3 in the morning, blades slicing the night as Marcus straps into a vest, his ribs screaming but his focus razor sharp. They hit the precinct at dawn, the sky a bruised purple, agents storming in with flashbangs popping, smoke curling as Marcus limps through the chaos, Glock drawn, eyes locked on Hensley's office. He kicks the door in, catching Hensley mid-rant on a phone. "Tell Voss to bury the wife's case," and levels the gun. "You're done, Victor." Hensley freezes, sunburned neck paling, but smirks. "You're a dead man walking," as agents cuff him and Rollins, who's cowering in the corner. Live feeds from local news vans capture it all, choppers buzzing overhead. The arrest broadcast statewide as Marcus stands bruised but unbowed, the precinct's corrupt heart ripped out in front of 1 million viewers. Cheers erupt from the agents as Hensley's hauled out, his badge stripped, Rollins stammering apologies. Marcus exhales, thinking it's over, that Lena and Jamal will be freed, that he's clawed back justice from 12 hours of hell sparked by that Highway 80 stop. He steps outside, the sun just cresting the horizon, a faint 85 degrees warming his bloodied face. His team slaps his back, Hayes nodding. "We've got him, 10 years minimum." And for a moment, Marcus believes it. Lets the weight lift, the nightmare fade. But then a crack splits the air, a sniper's bullet grazing his shoulder, tearing through his vest with a searing burn that drops him to his knees, blood pooling fast as agents scatter, shouting, "Shooter! Rooftop!" He clutches the wound, vision swimming, and something flutters down. A note landing in the dust beside him, scrawled in black ink, "You're next, traitor." His team returns fire, the sniper vanishing as sirens wail, but Marcus stares at the paper. Hensley's grin flashing in his mind, the cops cuffed 20 feet away in a squad car, smirking through the window, mouthing, "This ain't over." And Marcus realizes this isn't Hensley's endgame. It's a signal, a thread, to something bigger, someone pulling strings he hasn't cut yet. He staggers up, blood soaking his arm, his team dragging him to cover. Hensley's down, but the war's not won. And Marcus's counterstrike just painted a target on his back larger than any video or mob ever could. All right, folks, what do you think? Did Marcus do enough to bury Hensley here? Comment number 1 if you think he deserves this win after all he's endured. Hit that like button if you're cheering for his fight against corruption, and subscribe so you don't miss the next blow, because this sniper's just the start. So who's behind that bullet? And how much deeper does this conspiracy run? Marcus Tate limps into the El Paso County Courthouse, his left shoulder bandaged beneath a fresh suit jacket, the sniper's bullet from 12 hours ago still a dull ache as blood seeps through the gauze. 40 miles from Houston, he's 300 miles from where this hell started on Highway 80. The air outside a crisp 75 degrees Fahrenheit under a late morning sun. But inside, the courtroom's a pressure cooker, packed with 200 spectators crammed into wooden pews, their murmurs buzzing like wasps as he steps to the witness stand. His white shirt's clean now, no trace of the blood that stained it from Hensley's beating or the mob's brick, but his 6'2" frame carries the weight of it all, his jaws bruised purple, his ribs tender, his hazel eyes shadowed. From sleepless nights since Lena and Jamal were hauled off in cuffs 48 hours ago on that fake drug bust, orchestrated by Hensley's allies. The precinct raid at dawn, Hensley and Rollins cuffed live on air, felt like a win. But that sniper's note, "You're next, traitor," and Hensley's smirk from the squad car haunt him, a promise of more pain lurking beyond this trial. The courtroom's oak-paneled walls gleam under fluorescent lights. The judges gavel a sharp crack as proceedings begin. Victor Hensley sits at the defense table, wiry and pale, his sunburned neck stark against a cheap grey suit. His smirk gone, but his pale blue eyes glinting with defiance as his lawyer, a slick man named Ray Carver, adjusts his tie. Marcus grips the stand, swearing in, his voice steady despite the pain. He's got evidence stacked like a fortress, the earpiece recording from the initial stop, precinct security logs showing Hensley's entry for the beating, hacked radio, chatter of "finish him" to the mob, and sworn statements from his agents about the raid. Airtight, every piece logged and time-stamped, a case he's built over 20 years to bury bastards like this. The prosecutor, a sharp-eyed woman named Carla Ortiz, paces, her heels clicking as she lays it out. Hensley's illegal stop, the assault, the smear video now at 300,000 views, the mob attack, the precinct betrayal, the family, raid, all tied to his badge, all dripping with racism, and Marcus testifies, calm but cutting. "He called me boy, cuffed me for nothing, beat me with a baton. When I fought back, he turned my family into targets with planted drugs." The jury, 10 locals, mixed ages, mostly white, leans in, some nodding, some stone-faced. But the room shifts when Ortiz plays the precinct feed. Hensley's baton cracking Marcus's jaw in grainy black and white, gasps rippling through the crowd. Carver counters, spinning Hensley as overzealous, stressed, claiming Marcus provoked the stop. But the evidence buries it. 3 hours later, the jury's back, the foreman reading, "Guilty, abuse of power, assault, corruption, 10 years. And Hensley's head drops, his fists clenching as deputies cuff him, the gavel slamming like a thunderclap. Marcus exhales, ribs aching, thinking it's over. Lena and Jamal's charges will drop, the nightmare that started 12 hours ago on that desert road finally cracking. But as he steps off the stand, the gallery erupts, not with cheers but shouts, "Cop killer!" and "Traitor!" From a cluster of 20 locals in the back, their faces twisted with rage. Confederate patches glinting on their jackets, echoes of the mob that nearly ran him off the bridge. He freezes, hand brushing his Glock beneath the jacket. But the judge bangs for order, deputies pushing back. The victory's real, Hensley's gone, yet the hate's still alive, festering in El Paso's underbelly, fed by that viral lie and Hensley's poison. He heads for the exit, the sun blinding as he steps onto the courthouse steps, 78 degrees now, his team 10 feet behind. Hayes claps his shoulder. "We did it, boss," and Marcus nods, forcing a smile, imagining Lena's voice. Jamal's laugh free soon, but then the mob spills out, 50 strong, surging past deputies too slow to react, their boots thumping the concrete as bottles fly, one shattering against his bandaged shoulder, glass slicing through the suit, blood welling fresh as he stumbles, pain flaring white-hot. They scream, "You framed him, and get out, black bastard." Slurs from the bridge, the video, the precinct all boiling over. And he ducks another bottle, glass exploding at his feet, his Glock half drawn when Hayes pulls him back. Not worth it. The crowd presses, fists raised, a woman spitting. "You'll pay." And Marcus's heart sinks because this isn't justice's echo, it's Hensley's legacy, a town turned against him even with the cuffs on their hero. Deputies finally form a line, batons out, but the damage is done. Marcus brushes glass from his sleeve, blood dripping, when a courier shoves through, thrusting an envelope into his hands, official seal glinting. Inside, a warrant, fresh off. The press, Marcus Tate, evidence tampering, federal investigation pending, signed by Judge Harlan Voss, a name Hensley bragged about owning on that precinct call, a judge tied to the sheriff who buried Lena's case. Marcus stares, the paper trembling. Hensley's 10 years mean nothing if the system's still rigged, and this warrants a noose tighter than any mob, a legal knife from a puppet master he hasn't faced. He crumples it, blood smearing the ink, his team shouting as the crowd roars. He's won the battle, but the war's just shifted, and he's still the prey. All right, folks, what do you think? Should Marcus have seen this courtroom twist coming? Comment number 1 if you think he's still got a shot against this corrupt system. Hit that like button if you're raging at this injustice, and subscribe so you don't miss the next fight, because it's about to explode. So can Marcus dodge this warrant, or is the mob just the start of his downfall? Marcus Tate floors the gas of a borrowed FBI sedan, the engine snarling at 90 miles per hour, as he tears west from El Paso's courthouse steps, the crumpled warrant, evidence tampering, still clenched in his fist, blood from his reopened shoulder wound smearing the ink where the mob's bottle sliced through his suit 30 minutes ago. The desert stretches endless under a noon sun blazing at 92 degrees Fahrenheit, 350 miles from Houston. The sedan's AC straining against the heat as dust swirls across Interstate 10, his white shirts soaked red. Again, his navy jacket torn at the seam, his 6'2" frame hunched over the wheel, every jolt of the road spiking pain through his bruised ribs and throbbing jaw from Hensley's precinct, beating 2 nights back. The fake warrant from Judge Harlan Voss, a Hensley crony, burns in his mind. A legal trap sprung hours after Hensley's 10-year conviction, proof this war's deeper than one rogue cop, and the mob slurs, cop killer, black bastard. Still, echo melding with the sniper's note, "You're next, traitor," into a chorus of hate he can't outrun. His hazel eyes flick to the rear view. Hayes and 3 agents trail a mile back in a black SUV, too far to close the gap fast, and the burner in his pocket buzzes, Hayes' voice crackling. Lena and Jamal's charges are stalled. Voss's crew's blocking us. Where you at? Marcus grits, 10-50 miles out. Desert's my shot to lose 'em, because the statewide alert from the precinct frame-up, wanted for assaulting officers, has every badge in Texas hunting him, and that mob's rage means Hensley's loyalists aren't done either. He's 300 miles from that first stop on Highway 80, 12 hours into a nightmare that's cost him everything. Lena, Jamal, his name, and now he's racing blind, the sedan's tank at 8 gallons, enough to reach a safe house. If he can shake the tail he knows is coming. The horizon shimmers, heat waves dancing when headlights flare behind. 2 cruisers, no sirens, just relentless speed, closing fast at 110. He squints, spotting El Paso PD markings and curses Hensley's dogs, because these aren't random patrols. They're the precinct's leftovers, sprung or bribed since the raid. He pushes the sedan to 100, tires humming, but the road dips into a dry wash. Sand drifts, narrowing it to a choke point. The lead cruiser rams his bumper, metal crunching as the sedan fishtails, his shoulder slamming the door, blood soaking. The bandage anew. The second rams again, harder, and the wheel jerks. He fights it, but the sand drags and the sedan flips, rolling twice with a scream of steel, glass exploding as it lands upside down 50 feet off the road, dust choking, the air in a thick yellow haze. Marcus hangs from the seatbelt, head spinning, blood dripping onto the roof. His Glock's wedged under the dash, out of reach, and the scene snaps into focus. The desert standoff from 12 hours ago, the flipped silver sedan, now this borrowed. Wreck, hands raised as the cruisers screech up. Officers Lyle Grayson and Tom Burke leaping out, guns drawn, flashlights blinding him through the haze. Grayson yells, "Out now," and Marcus coughs, tasting blood, unbuckling slow. His ribs scream, his shoulders a fire pit. But he staggers out, hands up, mirroring that first night, as Grayson spits. "Thought you'd lock Vic up and walk." "Away!" Burke swings a baton, the same one Hensley used, cracking Marcus's temple, a wet thud that drops him to his knees, blood streaming into his eyes as he gasps. "You're finished." FBI's coming. Grayson laughs, not fast enough, and kicks him flat, boots crunching sand as Marcus rolls. Vision blurring, their guns cock, barrels inches from his head, and he smirks through the pain. "You're digging your graves," stalling as chopper blades thrum in the distance, faint but growing. Hayes' team closing the 50-mile gap. He braces, buying seconds, but then tires screech again. Not FBI, a dozen gunmen in black tactical gear spilling from 3 vans 30 yards. Off, rifles blazing, bullets tearing into the cruisers as Grayson dives, shouting, "What the hell?" Burke spins, firing back, but a round catches his chest, dropping him dead in the sand. Grayson bolts, vanishing into the scrub as the gunmen advance, their shots pinning Marcus behind the wreck, lead ricocheting off the sedan's frame. He crawls, ribs grinding, snagging his Glock from the dash, 6 rounds left, and returns fire, 2 gunmen dropping as the chopper's roar nears, floodlights cutting through the dust. The attackers falter, scattering as Hayes' team lands, agents leaping out, rifles barking. The gunmen retreat, vans peeling off, leaving 3 bodies and a burning cruiser. Marcus staggers up, blood-soaked, Glock trembling. Hayes grabs him. "Who were they?" And Marcus shakes his head. "Not Hensley's, someone else, and because this isn't precinct revenge, it's a hired hit, a second wave beyond Hensley's reach, tied to that sniper, that note, that warrant." He wipes blood from his brow, the desert silent but for the chopper's hum. Grayson's gone, Burke's dead, but the real threat's still out there, and Marcus knows he's not just hunted, he's marked. Marcus Tate leans against the flipped FBI sedan, blood streaming from his temple where Officer Lyle Grayson's baton cracked it minutes ago. The desert sand gritty under his knees as the chopper's floodlights carve through the dust 50 miles. Southwest of El Paso, the air's a dry 90 degrees Fahrenheit, the noon sun relentless, his white shirt a blood-soaked rag clinging to his 6'2" frame, his navy jacket lost somewhere in the wreck 350 miles from Houston. His ribs grind with every breath, his shoulder throbs from the sniper's graze a day ago, and his hazel eyes squint through the haze. Officer Tom Burke lies dead 10 feet away, chest torn open by the gunman's rifles, Grayson's boot prints, fading into the scrub where he fled, and 3 of the black-clad attackers sprawl lifeless near their burning van, downed by Marcus's Glock before Deputy Director Hayes and his 6 agents repelled the rest. The chopper's blades slow, Hayes rushing over, his black vest streaked with sand. "You good?" Marcus nods, spitting blood. "Barely. Those weren't Hensley's boys," his voice raw as he clutches the 6-shot Glock. 2 rounds left. Retrieved from the dash during the firefight. Hayes kneels, prying a wallet from a gunman's tack vest, Texas ID, no name, just a number and a logo, a coiled snake over a star, and mutters, "Hired muscle, someone big's bankrolling this." Marcus wipes his brow, the baton sting flaring, and remembers Hensley's precinct rant. "Tell Voss to bury the wife's case," and the sniper's note, "You're next, traitor." It's a web, Hensley just a thread, and those gunmen that warrant point to a puppet master pulling levers from higher up. Hayes drags a wounded gunman from the wreckage, zip-tying his wrists, the man's mid-30s, buzz cut, a snake tattoo curling up his neck, and Marcus looms over him, Glock steady. "Who sent you?" The gunman coughs, blood flecking his lips and rasps. Mayor Warren wanted you silenced." Reforms threatening his cash before slumping, breath fading as Hayes curses, "Clyde Warren, El Paso's kingpin." Marcus nods, pieces clicking. Warren, 58, silver-haired, a 3-term mayor with a mansion overlooking the city, a man who's shaken his hand at galas, all smiles and lies, running drugs, bribes, and cops like Hensley to keep reformers like Marcus buried. He grabs a wire from Hayes, a tiny mic clipped to his collar. 90 minutes later, he's cleaned up, blood washed off, a fresh shirt from an agent's kit stretched tight over his bruised frame, and he's rolling solo into El Paso in a borrowed SUV 40 miles from the ambush site, the sun dipping to 88 degrees as dusk nears. Warren's mansion sits on a bluff, a sprawling stucco fortress with wrought iron gates guarded by 2 suits packing concealed 9mm. Marcus flashes his FBI badge, voice cold, "Official business," and they wave him through, underestimating. The bloodied man with a limp, as he parks near a fountain spewing crystal water, a stark contrast to the desert's grit. Inside, the air's cool at 70 degrees, marble floors gleaming under chandeliers. Warren greets him in a study, a broad man in a tailored suit, grey hair slicked back, sipping bourbon from a crystal glass, his smile tight. "Marcus, rough, weak, heard about Hensley, shame," his tone dripping with mock pity. Marcus sits, wire humming, and cuts through. "Spare me. I know you hired those gunmen, framed my family, ran Hensley like a dog, talk." Warren chuckles, swirling his drink unfazed. He leans back, voice smooth. "You're a problem, Tate. FBI sniffing my deals, pushing reforms. Cartels pay me millions to keep El Paso open, cops in line. Hensley was cheap, Voss cheaper, but you too clean, too loud." Marcus clenches his fists, ribs aching as Warren brags. 10 years I've owned this state, judges, sheriffs, feds. Your raid? A hiccup, I'll bury you. Your wife, your kid, like I've buried a dozen before." His eyes glinting with a predator's glee. Every word recorded, a confession Marcus knows will crack this empire wide open. He stands, wire live to Hayes' team 40 miles out. "That's enough. FBI's got you." And Warren's smile fades, replaced by a cold stare. He snaps his fingers, and the study doors burst open. 10 militia in black fatigues storming. Hin AR-15s blazing, bullets shredding the oak desk as Marcus dives, rolling behind a bookshelf, glass shattering around him. His Glock's out, 2 shots dropping one gunman, blood pooling on the marble. Warren bolts through a side door, shouting, "Kill him!" As the militia closes, 9 left, their rounds chewing the walls, splinters flying as Marcus scrambles, ribs screaming, shoulder bleeding fresh through the bandage. He fires again, one bullet grazing a gunman's leg, the other pinging off a chandelier. They flank him, boots thumping, and he's pinned, the wire crackling as Hayes yells, "Hold on, 10 minutes out." But 10 minutes is a lifetime when barrels gleam 3 feet away. Marcus thinks he's won. Warren's words on tape, but this ambush flips it. Hensley's jail cell's a sideshow. Warren's the prize. And now Marcus is cornered, bleeding. 1 round left. The mansion a kill box. He might not walk out of. Marcus Tate crouches behind a splintered bookshelf in Mayor Clyde Warren's opulent study, the air thick with gun smoke and the tang of blood as 9 black-clad militia close in, their AR-15s spitting fire, 40 miles from El Paso's desert. Ambush. Dusk settles at 85 degrees Fahrenheit outside the mansion's stucco walls, but inside it's a furnace, 70 degrees spiked by adrenaline and the deafening crack of bullets shredding marble and oak. His white shirt's a crimson ruin, his shoulder bleeding through the sniper's graze from yesterday, his ribs grinding from Hensley's baton 2 nights ago. His 6'2" frame presses low, Glock trembling with 1 round left, the wire on his collar crackling as Hayes' voice cuts through. 5 minutes out, hold on. But 5 minutes is an eternity when barrels gleam 3 feet away. Warren's confession. "I've owned this state, buried a dozen like you. Still live on the feed. A jackpot Marcus can't cash if he's dead." Glass shards from the shattered chandelier crunch under his dress shoes as he shifts. Hazel eyes darting. 9 gunmen fanned out, 2 flanking left, 3 right, 4 straight ahead. Their boots thumping as Warren shout, "Kill him!" echoes from the hall, where he fled. Marcus's mind races, 20 years of FBI training boiling down to this. He spots a bourbon bottle on the floor. Warren's crystal glass cracked but full, and grabs it, hurling it left with a flick of his wrist. It smashes against a wall, liquor splashing, and 2 gunmen spin, firing at the noise. A split-second distraction he seizes, lunging right, his last bullet punching through a gunman's throat, blood spraying as the man drops, rifle clattering. Marcus snatches it, 15 rounds in the mag, rolling as bullets chew the bookshelf, splinters stinging his cheek, and opens fire, short bursts dropping 2 more, their bodies crumpling to the marble with wet thuds. 6 left, and they pivot. Closing fast, but he's moving, diving behind a leather sofa, its stuffing exploding as rounds tear through. He pops up, 3 shots, 3 hits, chest, head, chest, 3 down, 3 standing. Their shouts turning to curses as he flanks, using the room's pillars, a 4th falling to a double tap, blood pooling under the chandelier's wreckage, the eye, last 2 charge. one swinging a knife as Marcus's rifle clicks empty, and he ducks, slamming the stock into the man's jaw, bone cracking as he spins, grabbing the knife mid-fall and plunging it into the second's gut, a gurgling choke as the gunman collapses, the study silent, but for the drip of blood and the distant thrum of chopper blades. Marcus staggers, ribs screaming, shoulder a firestorm. He grabs a spare mag from a corpse, reloads, and limps after Warren, kicking through the side door into a garage where the mayor's scrambling for a black Escalade, keys jangling. Marcus fires a warning shot, tire popping, and Warren freezes, hands up, silver hair wild. "You're done, Tate. My men." But Marcus cuts him off. "Your men are dead," dragging him back as Hayes's chopper lands outside, agents storming. Gun cuffs snapping on Warren's wrists. Live feeds catch it, news vans swarming the gates 40 yards off, broadcasting Warren's fall statewide, his empire of drugs, bribes, and corrupt cops crumbling in real time as Marcus stands, bloodied, but unbroken. The wires tape a sledgehammer to El Paso's rot. Deputies haul Hensley's puppet master to a convoy, his tailored suit rumpled, his reins shattered. Marcus leans on Hayes, shoulder pulsing. "Get Lena and Jamal out, now," and Hayes nods. Charges dropped, they're free. Voss's cruise. Folding. A victory carved from 12 hours of hell since that Highway 80 stop. Hensley's 10 years a footnote to Warren's collapse. Dust settles, sirens wail, and Marcus limps to the convoy, the sun dipping below the bluff. He's won, the war's over, justice clawed back from a system that tried to bury him, his family, his name. But as agents load Warren, a figure steps. From an SUV, Lena, her braid frayed, her brown eyes hollow. Jamal beside her, clutching a backpack, his 12-year-old face streaked with tears. Marcus stumbles forward, relief flooding, until Lena holds up a hand, stopping him 10 feet off, her voice flat. "We're done, Marcus," and hands him an envelope. Divorce papers crisp despite the chaos, her words cutting deeper than any bullet. "You saved the world, not us. I can't live like this. Jamal can't." He stares, the papers trembling. Blood from his fingers stains the seal. His mind blank as she turns, Jamal glancing back, eyes wet but hard. She walks away, her silhouette shrinking against the convoy's lights, their sun trailing, and Marcus stands frozen, Glock slipping from his hand to the sand, the weight of it all crashing down. Hensley's jailed, Warren's finished, the cartel cash lines severed, but his family's gone, the cost of a fight he didn't start, but couldn't stop. Sirens fade, agents shout orders, and he's alone, victorious but hollow. The desert swallowing the last of the day as Lena's car vanishes down the bluff. He's toppled giants, rewritten justice, but lost the one thing he swore to protect, a twist sharper than any sniper's aim. Marcus Tate's journey through 12 brutal hours, from a racist traffic stop on Highway 80 to toppling Mayor Clyde Warren's corrupt empire, teaches us that justice isn't a gift, it's a fight. Racism isn't just slurs or batons, it's a system, woven into badges, courts, and mobs, ready to crush anyone who dares challenge it. Marcus, a black FBI director, faced it head-on. Hensley's cuffs, a smeared video, a mob's brick, planted drugs on his family, each blow worse than the last, each victory undone by a deeper betrayal, proving prejudice doesn't die quietly. It claws back with every tool at its disposal. His resilience shines through, picking locks, rallying agents, recording Warren's confession, showing that strength and cunning can defy even the most rigged odds, but at a cost. The twist of Lena's divorce papers reveals a brutal truth. Fighting for the greater good can hollow out the personal, leaving scars no badge can heal. Corruption, too, isn't one man. It's a network from Hensley's fists to Warren's millions, thriving on silence until someone like Marcus rips it open. Yet, his win, jailing Hensley, exposing Warren, sparks hope. One voice, relentlessly, loud can crack a rotten foundation. The lesson? Justice demands sacrifice, but it's worth it if it wakes a system that's slept too long on the backs of the oppressed. So what do you think? Did Marcus pay too high a price for justice, or was it the only way to break this cycle? Comment below, hit that like button if this story fired you up, and subscribe and share to keep these tales alive. Your voice matters. Thanks for sticking with us through this wild ride. We're grateful for every one of you. Here's to standing tall against injustice. Stay strong and keep fighting the good fight.